Chelsea fans, welcome back to Talking Chelsea. Welcome back to your Chelsea news. Filip Jorgensen wants to leave Chelsea. We also have some transfer updates regarding Josh Acheampong and Tyrique George. Not only that, but the plans for next season for Geovany Quenda have been revealed. Now, of course, I'll be giving my own thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported, but more importantly, I want to know what you guys think down below in the comments. And before we get into the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content. We're on the road to 15k by the end of the season. You can also use the new YouTube hype feature, which pushes this video out to a bigger audience. Kicking things off, Fabrizio Romano reported late last night, breaking news, Filip Jorgensen is considering leaving Chelsea in January. He wants to play football. Filip Jorgensen is considering leaving Chelsea in January to get more game time. The decision is up to Chelsea, but Jorgensen is open to a new chapter ahead of the World Cup playoffs with Denmark as well. Nizar Kinsella has reported on Filip Jorgensen saying any departure would have implications for Chelsea, who have no plans to reduce their goalkeeping depth, but could sign a replacement or recall Mike Penders from his successful loan spell at Strasbourg. Now this is very interesting. It came out from nowhere. Last night it was just all reported that Jorgensen wants to leave Chelsea. Now, there's been further reports like we just covered and reacted to that he wants more game time so he can focus on the World Cup qualifiers and playoffs with Denmark. Now, I understand that and I can respect that, right? Because a lot of players, I've said this many times, the epitome for them is playing for their country at the highest level. And the World Cup is the biggest competition in football. It just is. The whole world is involved, right? So I get it from that standpoint. But realistically, this opens up the door for so many opportunities with Chelsea because they could recall the likes of Mike Penders, who in my opinion still needs a bit of time. He is a fantastic keeper, but he's still very young, and the whole reason he's at Strasbourg is to get another season of development. But that is an option for Chelsea if they're not looking to go out and buy a new keeper. They can recall Mike Penders. I think we still have Selena, and then you've got Robert Sanchez. Many fans would be happy with that. I'd like to see Mike Penders play for Chelsea, but only if he is 120% ready to step into the Premier League and play consistent football, because the whole long-term plan for Mike Penders is that he becomes Chelsea's number one over a long period of time, right? So I don't want to rush that purely because we're losing Filip Jorgensen or he wants to leave in January. Second option is Chelsea can now go get Mike Maignan, who is determined was the word that he was using. He's determined to get that Chelsea move. He wants to come across in I was going to say September, in the summer, because that's when his contract runs out. But a pre-contractual agreement can be made in January for clubs outside of Serie A. Chelsea are obviously sniffing around. They're now downplaying it, saying we're not interested in Mike Maignan. Now, we were heavily involved in the summer and we missed out because we didn't want to pay the extra couple of million. But it looks like the opportunities are starting to align with Filip Jorgensen wanting to leave in January. That leaves a space to either bring someone in or bring in Mike Penders. So it will be very, very interesting to see what Chelsea do in this situation, because obviously Fabrizio has said that we have no interest in reducing the goalkeeper depth. However, Chelsea are also very fair in the sense that if a player wants to leave, they open the door. They say, okay, cool, let's see what we can do. So whether it is a loan for Jorgensen to go get game time, so he's still under contract at Chelsea, and then he has another opportunity to come in the summer and fight for his position, or if we just cut it there and then, like a dry cut, and he goes, right, hasn't worked out for you at Chelsea, you want to go for game time, fine, we want X amount, like we did with Petrovic. He went away for a season for development, at Strasbourg, played very, very well, was one of their players of the season. He then comes back and then he's like, I want more game time. Chelsea go, do you know what, we don't want to get rid of you, however, we will listen to offers, and if a club comes in for around 25 million, you can leave. And I feel like that is like the best mutual decision that could be made between club and player, because the player's like, all right, cool, I can go ask around and get my agent to do their work. If there is some demand for me, I can leave. I'm not trapped under a long contract, which a lot of people were fearing, especially outside of Chelsea, when Chelsea were putting these players on long-term contracts. So in my honest opinion, I just don't think it's worked out for Filip Jorgensen. And I think that it's been a bit of a roller coaster for him, because especially last season, a lot of us were calling for Jorgensen to get an opportunity to play, because Sanchez was leaking a lot of mistakes, and he was top in the list of like mistakes leading or errors leading to goals, etc. And I do feel for him, because Sanchez has improved so much and so consistently over the last 6 or 7 months that it's kind of hard to ignore, and he's solidified himself as Chelsea's number one. There's also been reports coming out from interviews of Sanchez and from the club inside sources saying Sanchez has always been backed to be Chelsea's number one. They had this whole weird phase where they were saying they're waiting for his footballing ability to catch up to his footballing IQ, and when it does, he is going to be elite. And we are seeing a more consistent version of Robert Sanchez. Is he perfect? No, I don't think any keeper is, but he's a hell of a lot better than what he was this time last year, and I think we can all admit that. So for Jorgensen, he has had his opportunities to play, but in my opinion, he's bottled it. He just hasn't played well at all. Whether that is a consistency thing in terms of he needs a run of games to get consistent form. Maybe. A lot of players do need that. It would be unfair to suggest that he comes in for one game and he's unbelievable and he's Manuel Neuer. However, he's had multiple opportunities across the course of last season and this season, and every time he's played, he's just looked not confident at all, can't command his box, stays on his line, full of mistakes. The goals he's conceded, some of them have been from simple saves that you would expect the keeper to be making. And I kind of feel for him in that sense that obviously he wants to play football. You're at Chelsea Football Club, you want to be playing football. But he's just bottled it, in my opinion. So we bought him for a lot of money. I think it was like 35 million or 45 million euros, something around that region. Between 35 and 45. It's a lot of money for a goalkeeper. However, he's young, he's got a high ceiling, etc. Chelsea buy players based off of data. He can go have a very, very long career. And, unfortunately, stocks aren't the highest right now. So I don't think Chelsea can demand massive amounts. However, Chelsea do mad things when we're selling in the transfer market. So if Jorgensen does go down this route and he wants to leave Chelsea, I would personally welcome it. Purely because I feel like it just hasn't worked for him. He can recognise that. He wants to cut ties and go. I've got no begrudge against him, no ill feelings. I just think he's one of those players that unfortunately didn't work out for him. So it'll be very interesting to see how this unfolds. And I want to know your guys' opinions down below. Should we keep hold of Jorgensen and say, loan him out for 6 months so he can go get the game time and he can have a fresh start next season? Do we sell him? How much do we sell him for? How much do you think we can get for him? And if we do sell him, do we bring back Mike Penders? Or do we go in for someone like Mike Maignan, who, has that opportunity to fill that hole if Jorgensen leaves? Kieran Gill has reported there is a long list of admirers for Tyrique George in the build-up to January. Now, I just want to touch on this very, very quickly because we know that Tyrique George is more than likely off in January because he was so close to leaving in the summer, going to Fulham and the deal falling through because paperwork wasn't filed on time. Now, Tyrique George is one of these players that I feel like goes under the radar in terms of his output. Because I feel like he actually scores or assists every other game that he plays. And I'm starting to understand why Enzo Maresca likes using him at times as a false nine. Do I think he's the best in that position? No, I really don't. But the more you kind of assess how he plays for Chelsea and how well he's doing this season, even for club and country, you can understand why he's been utilised as a false nine. So I hold my hands up, I got that horribly wrong. And I think a lot of fans can start to see actually he's got a bit of output when he plays as a false nine. Like I said, it's not his natural position, but I think we very much expect Tyrique George to be leaving in January. And I just want to have a conversation with you guys in terms of where do you think he's going to go? Does he stay in the Premier League? Does he get that move to Fulham now? Because when that deal fell through, they went and signed another player and got that over the line. So I feel like that sort of opportunity may have disappeared because they recruited another player in his position in time for the paperwork to go through or whatnot. But does he stay in the Premier League? Does he go abroad? Does he go on loan? I think that, Chelsea and Tyrique George will cut ties mutually because that was agreed in the summer. And I feel like his stocks are a little bit higher now because he had some game time under Maresca. He has scored some goals, has got some assists, some good finishes as well. This guy's got really, really good ball striking abilities. And again, he could play as a left winger as his natural position, but he can also proven he can play centrally in that false nine position. Obviously, he's not the type of player to have hold up and knock off 3 or 4 centre backs, but his ball striking is incredible. I think it's something that, again, goes under the radar. I won't be particularly sad if Tyrique George goes, but I will be sad at the fact that he hasn't had a good run out at left wing. We saw last season how good he could be, and I feel like there was still room for improvement, room for development, and of course he's a very young player, but it's writing on the wall. He wants to move. He wants to move away. Chelsea are happy to accept the money. Now, I think that move to Fulham was around 20 million, 25 million pounds. It'd be interesting to see if Chelsea can get something like that or even a little bit more money because his stocks are a bit higher based on the football he's played in the first third of the season or will be the first half of the season up to January. So I want to know what you guys think regarding Tyrique George. Would you try and keep hold of him? Do you think there is a place long term for him? Or do you think, it has run its course, sell him in January? How much do you think that we can get for him? And where do you think that Tyrique George will end up? Will he end up in the Premier League? Will he go to the Bundesliga, the Serie A, somewhere else? Because he was also linked to the Bundesliga a lot in the summer, and I think he would do incredibly well in that league. Mercato Web have reported that Fiorentina are keen to sign Chelsea defender Josh Acheampong. One word, no. Leave us alone. Leave him alone. He ain't going anywhere. His future is at Chelsea. However, let's entertain this for a little bit because it looks like paper talk. I don't know how true, reliable it is. However, there has been sources last season where things were reported along these lines, and we actually got to hear from Chelsea, from Josh and his team. So I would like to entertain this a little bit and just have a conversation with you guys in the comments. Obviously, we don't want Josh to go anywhere. Chelsea made it very clear he has a pathway into the first team. He's getting more first team minutes. Maresca absolutely loves him, and he's going to have a bright future at Chelsea. We're already seeing a glimpse of it when he gets this opportunity of how good he is. So personally, I think he's going nowhere. I don't want to get that twisted. He isn't going anywhere. However, last season there was a lot of links for him leaving in January because there was he had to sign a contract and things like that, and it looked like it could get a little bit messy in terms of the admin side of things. However, his team came out and Josh came out and said, collectively, that they don't want to leave Chelsea. And the only way that they would leave Chelsea is, one, a pathway is blocked, or two, he can go for development somewhere else, but it's not to deter from the fact that he wants first team football at Chelsea. So based on that, there could be very, very small chance that something like this could happen where he can go away for 6 months, maybe for a season, get more development, more regular first team minutes to really bolster what his development is doing, and come back to Chelsea to be a first team regular. Because my only concern is, when you have Wesley Fofana, who's a fantastic defender when he gets a run of games in and he stays fit, and again, we're starting to see that already with the games he's played, especially the last two Premier League games. You look at the GA, he's been able to reduce teams to, keeping clean sheets, etc. When you've got Wesley Fofana and Levi Colwill fit, that's Enzo Maresca's centre-back pairing. And I've got no issue with that. I think they're going to be a fantastic partnership for a long, long time. Incredibly skilled, good at their roles, and work well together. We saw glimpses of that last season before Fofana was injured. And unfortunately, this season, Colwill was out for a long, long time. That does nullify the amount of chances that Josh is going to get across a season. I think Josh can go on to be an absolutely world-class defender. I think we will all agree there. He's got so much skill, so much ability, and he plays a lot more mature for his years in terms of how old he is and his ability on the ball. He's fantastic every time he plays for Chelsea. He's also young. He's not showing really any signs of consistency. The odd little mistake here and there, which you expect because of his age. But overall, you can't really fault Josh. He's been amazing. So my question is if you have Levi Colwill and Wesley Fofana fit, which is a big ask, because, Levi Colwill's come back from a long-term injury, but Fofana is typically the more injury-prone out of the two. Is there a time or space for Josh Acheampong, considering we have Trevor Chalobah, Benoit Badiashile, Hato can play left-sided centre-back. We have other options that can play in that centre-back role. Now, for me, he's high on that list, and if Fofana's not ready, you put Josh in, because he's great. It's almost like for like, but just one's younger and still learning on the job. However, there could be an opportunity where Josh goes, do you know what? It makes more sense to go away for a season, really improve my development, come back and be knocking on the door and saying, I deserve to be the first team, like the first starting centre-back alongside Levi Colwill. This is what I've been doing. Like I said, I think there's a very, very, very small chance that this happens because Enzo Maresca loves him. He has that guarantee of the pathway. Chelsea guaranteed that. Said, look, you play centre-back, you play right-back. Reece James plays in midfield a lot now. He also plays right-back. Gusto plays right-back, and he's been experimented in like half 10 spaces and also in the midfield. Josh is getting a lot more opportunities at centre-back. He must be loving life right now, playing a lot more competitions. So I don't think it's going anywhere, but I thought it was very interesting to have the conversation because when you look at it objectively and take the emotions out, it would make sense for Josh to go get some development elsewhere if the pathway is limited when you have a fully fit Levi Colwill and Wesley Fofana. So I'd like to know what you guys think regarding Josh Acheampong. Is it a case of this is waffle, he ain't going anywhere? And fair enough, if that's your thoughts. That's very much where I'm sitting right now. But do you understand or do you see the side of actually it could make a bit more sense for him to go get development elsewhere for a season-long loan and come back and really push for that first-team spot consistently, game in, game out? Bobby Vincent has reported that Ruben Amorim, the man who gave Geovany Quenda his break in sport in Lisbon, was eager to bring him to Manchester United. Chelsea had secured a strong position with Quenda in his representatives at the start of 2025. By mid-March, the Blues had hammered out an agreement with Sporting, believed to be worth £40 million, for Quenda to make the move to Stamford Bridge in the summer of 2026. Chelsea has informed Quenda that he will be part of Enzo Maresca's first-team plans in SW6 next season. While some speculated about a loan move for the Portuguese international, who will be 19 when he arrives in West London, Chelsea have plans for him to be involved with the senior squad in 26-27. Behind the scenes, 18-year-old winger Geovany Quenda has been taking intensive English lessons to help him adapt quicker when he moves to the UK, and has attended some Chelsea home games to understand the team's style of play. The Guinea-Bissau-born teenager Geovany Quenda is ready to take on any role across the front line for Chelsea. He's proven his versatility at Sporting Lisbon, demonstrating his ability to play both as a winger and a number 10. Insiders have revealed that Geovany Quenda has been focusing on enhancing his physical fitness by undertaking muscle strengthening exercises in preparation for his Premier League move. Always striving for improvement, there's no surprise that he frequently reviews his performances via video, while also studying clips of other wingers like Neymar, Lamine Yamal and Ronaldo to enhance his own game. Geovany Quenda knows that earning a spot in Chelsea's lineup won't be easy, but he's not daunted by a challenge. He understands that success at Chelsea requires hard work, but the Portuguese star is confident he can become one of the world's best, his ultimate goal. Chelsea continue to bolster its young attacking squad. Some may laugh when the Blues sign another teenage talent, but we've seen that Esteval's early days at Stamford Bridge it can pay off handsomely. With Quenda, the club is confident they'll have the last laugh once again. Now, this is something to get very, very excited about. Geovany Quenda, what a baller. This looks like an Esteval 2.0 in terms, I'm not saying about the players, in terms of the type of deal that Chelsea and Blueco have got over the line. This genuinely excites me so much, and I know a lot of you guys are very, very excited about Quenda coming in. Another incredible young talent, a guy who was ripping it up for Sporting last season and this season. Any competition, this guy is absolutely frightening, and I absolutely love these reports from Bobby Vincent. It's very, very in-depth, a lot of information to digest. Enzo Maresca has said, you are part of our plans next season. 19 years old, don't care. You are involved in the senior squad for 26-27. Chelsea Football Club are hoping they get the last laugh, and it looks like that they're going to. This looks like deja vu of when we signed Esteval and had to wait so long for him to sign, but we were keeping an eye on his progress and going, oh, what a player. We have him in the bag. We have that player coming to us. Unbelievable. Unreal. And genuinely, I feel the same about Quenda. I've been keeping an eye on him. He pops up all the time with the skills that he has, the way he destroys defenses, the goals that he's scoring, the way he sets up other players. He is a frightening teenager. Frightening winger is what I'm trying to say. I'm flustered by this exciting information, if I'm being brutally honest, because genuinely, it's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be unbelievable. And the fact that he's coming in, Chelsea and Maresca have said he is part of the plans. Now, I love the mindset and the work rate and the understanding from Quenda to know what it takes to make it Chelsea. He understands it takes hard work. It's not going to be easy for that spot. He's taking intensive English lessons to make that adaptation a lot easier when he comes to the Premier League. Muscle strength and fitness and all that type of thing. He's coming to home games to watch the style of play. This is a player who's hungry to be one of the world's best. And it is even quoted in there. His ultimate goal is to be one of the world's best. And I genuinely feel, and I think a lot of us will feel the same, that he has the potential to go do that. He's another one of those Esteval style players where you look at the raw talent and the passion that they have in terms of playing football and you go, wow. No other words, just wow. What a player. And we are so lucky to have a player coming in like that. Now, I'm hoping and praying, touch wood, that he stays fully fit. He continues his amazing run of form that he has been going on for the last season and a bit. And he does come to Chelsea fully fit, raring to go. I really, really do. If we could have him now, I'd take him now because he looks ready. And I know that you can say that, oh, it's the Portuguese league and blah, 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 blah. Cool. Esteval's doing it in the Brazilian league. He's come across to the Premier League and he's doing it instantly with very, very limited minutes. Now, again, in yesterday's video, we spoke about Pedro Neto, about how he needs to consistently perform at a high level because Esteval's breathing down his neck. Now, the question I want to ask you guys, and I know that Quenda is ready to take on any role across that front line. He could play as a 10, on right wing, play left wing. Question is, what happens on that right-hand side next season? I personally feel like Maresca is trying to develop Esteval into more of a 10. So he's easing him in on that right-hand side. He gives him the freedom to drift, but he's going to try and do what he did with Cole Palmer and kind of move him into that 10 role. That causes another problem of who plays in the 10, Palmer or Esteval. You then bring in the likes of Quenda, and on that right-hand side, you have Esteval, Quenda, and Neto. What a right-hand side, by the way. Now, of course, Quenda's going to need some sort of period to adjust, just like we're seeing with Esteval right now. Esteval will be bedded in. He will be playing more football. What happens to Pedro Neto? I personally don't want to get rid of him because I think he's so integral to Enzo Maresca's system. I really rate him as a player. I think he's one of the most overhated players at Chelsea at times because it's very easy to get very frustrated with the way he performs. I totally get that. But when you've got the likes of Quenda and Esteval on the same side, and you've also got Pedro Neto who has years on them in terms of experience and age, just in general, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens there. It's going to be very, very interesting because it's going to be an amazing headache for Enzo Maresca to have in terms of that front line. Does Quenda play on the left-hand side? Esteval on the right? Cole Palmer in the 10? Because, whoo, that would be amazing. Let's be real. That'd be incredible to see. But at the same time, do you put Esteval on the 10, Palmer on the right, Quenda on the left? Esteval on the left, Quenda on the right? There are so many variations. And we're not even talking about the likes of Garnacho, the likes of Gittins. Buonanote's on a dry loan. He goes back. So that just leaves Cole Palmer in that 10 role. So yes, we can have a rotation there. How is he going to keep all these players happy? And how is he going to fit them all in? We are so attacking heavy. And I really like the fact that we can look forward to Quenda, who's working hard doing these things, coming into Chelsea. And it's something we spoke about a long time, when we're linked to wingers, right? Mainly on the left-hand side more than the right, because we have the likes of Quenda coming in, and he prefers that right-hand side, and can also play on the 10. But he's also happy to play anywhere. So he could also play on that left-hand side. And if he does go on the left-hand side, it does balance things out a little bit. Because again, you're going to have the likes of Garnacho, the likes of Gittins, and the likes of Quenda all fighting for that left-hand side. So that would probably make more sense. And then we have the option to play Esteval in the 10, the option to play Quenda in the 10 if needed. That leaves Esteval and Neto on the right-hand side to kind of battle that out. And I think that would be very, very balanced personally. But I'm just genuinely super, super excited to see Quenda coming in. I love everything that we've reacted to today in terms of all of these Bobby Vincent reports. The fact that he's fully aware of the culture at Chelsea, knowing what it takes to win, coming to home games to watch how we play, taking the English lessons, doing the strengthening, conditioning, doing all the fitness things that he needs so he's ready. Like, this guy's hungry. And I think he's genuinely going to tear up the Premier League just like Esteval has, but less Joga Bonito and more physicality and explosive power. I'm not saying that Esteval doesn't have that, because I think we can all see that, but it's very much flair and easy to watch on the eyes. And what an attacking line we're going to have next season. And I feel like we're going to be having the similar arguments we're having with Esteval now, this time next season with Quenda. He needs to be playing more because he is an unbelievable talent. I think that's just what's going to happen. So I would love to know your thoughts and opinions down below regarding Quenda. Do you think that he does come in on that right-hand side and then Chelsea have a decision to make in terms of Neto, Esteval and Quenda? How does Maresca balance it? Will he come in and be primarily used on that left-hand side to balance things out? So you've got Quenda, Garnacho and Jamie Gittins. Obviously, he can play in the 10. Is he rotation player for Cole Palmer? So you have the likes of Palmer that could play 10, Esteval and Quenda that can play there. I think that there's no right or wrong answer, but I would love to know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. Will he be doing what Esteval's doing this season in terms of getting very limited minutes, but showcasing how amazing he is? Let me know your thoughts. And that's the latest Chelsea news. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on everything that's been reported down below in the comment section. I love having a conversation with you guys. And if you have watched this video all the way to the end, firstly, you're a real one. And I mean that, you're a real one. But secondly, there'll be a thumbnail appears on the screen. So if you are a Chelsea fan who enjoys Chelsea content, make sure you click that thumbnail because you'll enjoy that video too.